about the 7 questions you must ask a customer before you close the deal. My name is Michael Moraiva. I was able to build a team of 150 plus sales guys in less than 2.5 years. We did that with zero money invested, and now we have a lot of companies that are growing. We have solar, we have real estate investment, we have a coaching consulting company to help people with building their sales teams and the sales. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I learned, if you're a sales guy and you're watching this video, you have to learn that these 7 questions is what you must ask customers all the time to close the deal. If you're suffering and you have a challenge of closing the deals, it's because you're not figuring out what's important to the customers, right? The best way to sell is through questions, right? If you suck at talking, that's perfect, because you don't have to learn how to talk as a sales guy. The person who talks the most is the person who loses the deal. So I'm gonna give you guys these 7 types of questions you have to ask. And by the way, I learned this from a guy named Jeremy Miner, who's an amazing guy. You see him online, but I learned this from him because it's so powerful, right? Number 1, there's the connection questions, right? Connection questions are in the beginning stages of a customer. When you show up to their house, when you're showing up to their location, whatever it may be, if you're doing it over the phone, your whole job is to connect with them. Right? Your whole purpose is to connect with them. And in order to connect with another person, right, in order to build trust, which is the foundation of every single sale, you have to ask the right questions. Now, you don't have to ask stupid questions like, oh, what's that, a fishing pole? Do you like fishing? That's a dumb question to ask in any kind of conversation, because that doesn't lead you to the promised land. But you have to ask questions that relate with that individual, right? So, for example, if I'm going to be knocking on someone's door, right, I may ask them, hey, you have a beautiful, beautiful car. If it's real, right, don't ask about fishing, but if it's real, if you're selling, let's say, something for cars, hey, did you ever, blah, 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 whatever it may be. Something that relates to what you're selling. For example, if I'm selling solar, say, hey, that's a nice roof. How long would you get that roof from, if you don't mind me asking? Boom. You start a conversation. You're building that rapport. You're building trust, right? That's the whole first foundation and the first question you need to ask. The second question you need to ask is a situation question, right? You have to figure out, where is this customer at? In order to sell someone, you have to first figure out, where are they at and where are they trying to go? Because your job is to sell them a product or a service going to help them get to the promised land. And the reason why they're not at the promised land is because they have not figured out the bridge or the gap to the promised land. So in order to figure out where they want to go, you have to figure out where they're at first, right? So for example, let's say you're a fitness trainer and you want to sell a customer on losing weight. You have to figure out, what is their body weight right now? Where are they currently at? How come they want to go to the gym? You have to figure out what's important to them and where are they currently at? What is their current situation? Because when you figure out their current situation, the next thing you can do, which is the third question, is the problem questions, right? You're digging through to sift through, figuring out what is their problem. Remember, people make decisions based on pleasure or pain. They're either running towards pleasure or they're running away from pain. So you have to figure out, what is their biggest problem? Why have they not achieved their great dream? Why have they not achieved the promised result? What's holding them back? What's the issue? So you built the connection with them, you figured out where their current situation is at, you figured out what their problem is, right? And number 4, you come up with a solution. Now you have solution-based questions, solution awareness questions, right? This helps you understand, what is their future look like? Paint me the picture, Mr. Customer, right? And we can make another video on what kind of questions you should ask for all these different ones, because there's a ton of them, right? And I like to, like I said, I don't like to sell customers by shoving things down their throat. I like to ask questions. Mr. Customer, let me ask you a question. Why would you want this car to be given to you? Like, what's the purpose of you buying this car? What would that do for you? How would that solve your problem? How would that make your life 10 times better? Would that satisfy your wife? Would it help you get your door? Like, whatever it may be, you got to figure out what's important to them and find out what that dream question is, right? The next question, which is number 5, is the consequence question. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Customer. If you don't solve this problem, if you don't get this dream accomplished, what will happen? You have to make them think that by them not buying your product or service, what's going to end up happening, they will either die, which is a crazy thing to say, but that's how you got to feel. Like, Mr. Customer, if you don't buy my product or service, your husband's going to die, your wife is going to die, your children are going to die, they're going to be poor. That's the mentality, right? Not physically, but you got to be so worried, like, you don't want to buy my product? It's like a doctor that's trying to sell medication to a customer that has cancer, and the customer's like, no, I'm going to think about it. What do you mean you're going to think about it? You're going to fucking die if you don't take this shit, right? That's the mentality. That's the mindset. And when you're selling something, you got to be that convicted on your product or service to know that what you're selling them, if they don't buy it, what are the consequences? And you need to help the customer figure out those consequences without telling them the consequences, right? You need to ask them the right questions. Number 6 is the right qualifying questions to confirm, right, what kind of actions they need to take. So now you need to figure out, okay, you built a relationship with them, right? You know their current situation, you know their problem, right? You know their dream situation where they're trying to go, you know the consequences. Now you need to ask them what? right? How is it important for them to make these decisions, right? How important is it for them to take action? Because until they hit the action threshold, they will not make a decision. A lot of people, they want to lose weight. They want to have a nice car. They want to have a successful marriage. They want to have all these amazing things. But guess what? They don't have the action threshold. They're still eating potato chips. They're still cheating on their wives. They're still messing around with other people. Why? Because they have not hit the action threshold. So it's your job to dig with the customer by asking them the right questions to get them emotional enough to hit that action threshold so they can actually start making action today with you right now, right? And the last question, which is the transition question, right? The transition question is you basically asking the questions to present your solution. What is your solution? How are you going to get them to the promised land? How are you going to get away from the pain? How are you going to get them closer to their dreams, the goals, the aspirations they always wanted? And that is your job as a salesperson. You don't need to be talking. You need to ask the right questions. And when you start asking the right questions and getting the right answers, that is the person who's in control, and that is the person who will close more deals, right? So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next video.